Today we have a special guest with us, and he has a temporary new middle name. His name is Jon Bobblehead Echols. And Jon, it's really good to have you here today. I guess you know why I called you the bobblehead.
Oh, I'm very aware.
Explain it.
So if you've been watching, one of the things I'm Jon Echols, running for Oklahoma Attorney General, and one of the things I have in common with my opponent is I go around the state talking about me running for Attorney General, and he goes around the state talking about me. So we both have that in common.
Yeah.
He ran a commercial. The very first time he talked to the state of Oklahoma was me as a bobblehead. It's nasty, it's dirty, it's DC politics, but he has a DC. I mean, it's because he has a DC. That's who his team is.
Yeah.
Oklahomans don't like it, but I think it's pretty funny.
Hey, you need to buy a bunch of bobbleheads and sell them for campaign contributions, or donate them for campaign contributions.
You know, I am an entrepreneur. I check the rules. No, I'm not allowed to sell them for a profit.
Yes.
And even if I give it to the campaign, but trust me, when we win these races, when we win this race, I'm going to have one, and every time I sue the federal government to protect states' rights, I'm going to pop the bobblehead and say...
Well, you know, I seem to remember a candidate. There were 17 in that race, and everyone kept speaking about one candidate.
Yeah.
And you know, he did win.
That's right. Well, we're feeling good.
Just as a point of interest, I spent all of last Wednesday and Thursday with Jon. We left my home early. They picked me up, and we went all the way up to Guyman, and we met with the sheriff there, and that became sheriff number 57 or something.
57 at that time.
57 that endorsed Jon. Then we went into Guyman, had lunch with some movers and shakers in the Republican Party there. Then we drove down to Beaver and met with the sheriff there. Boy, what a difficult job he has there. It's incredible.
And they endorsed him with you there?
They did. They wouldn't let me go in.
Oh.
They wouldn't let me go in on that one. but endorsed him. And then we got to Woodward, and we had this big event in Woodward that night. JJ, and there were 7 there that were speaking. And we spent the night in Woodward, and then next day we got up and we drove to Watonga, and we had lunch with the sheriff, district attorney, the EMS guy, a couple of deputies and things. Very impressed with that sheriff there, just like I was the one up in Guyman.
Hey, Bob, I wonder how you get the invites to these things.
And so,
does it sound like an upside down pyramid to you? Or?
A little bit.
But then we came down to Kingfisher, and they wouldn't let me go in on that one, you know. But they've got a beautiful new jail, young sheriff. They were real impressed. He endorsed him. 61 sheriffs.
We're now at 61. As a matter of fact, we're having to change my TV commercial. My TV commercial says over 50. We're doing it to over 61.
Oh, that messed your commercial right up, didn't it?
But we could fit unprecedented.
With all that said, I can tell you this. I realize what a candidate, a law enforcement candidate this man is. He understands their problems, their needs. He has when we were in Woodward, Jon has a business. He's partner in it, founded it originally, but they provide medical needs to jails for sheriffs.
Oh, I'm glad you told me that.
And so while we were in Guyman, the undersheriff there, we talked to him first, and he's one of their clients, and they absolutely love what Jon's doing, because if they provide the doctor and the nurse and things like that, they have liability on it. Jon takes all the liability by providing that. And so, but you know, Jon is, he's very bright. He graduated from Christian Heritage Academy in Del City, which I believe academically is probably the top private school in the state of Oklahoma. And then he went to law school at OCU, graduated first in his class. He's an entrepreneur. He's very bright. I've never been more confident that this man is the best person prepared for this job that I have ever seen. But anyway, that's my endorsement for you, John.
Well, I'm glad
And-
you followed up as to why he understands sheriffs and jails so
Yes,
well.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But go ahead, John, and tell us some of the problems that law enforcement, and it's not just the Sheriff's Association, or the sheriffs that are endorsing. The FOP is endorsing. You've had some other high-profile OK2A, I believe.
Yes, that was my line.
Oh,
He
I'm
just
sorry.
stole my line.
I'm sorry.
I feel like after that introduction, I need to call it a wrap. I'm going to mess it up. Learn how to get. No. Hey, Charlie, thank you. It was such an honor to get to spend so much time, and I consider all three of you incredibly close friends. It was an honor to get to do that. When we talk about the Office of Attorney General, we're running on a very simple platform, but that's why we're winning. It's taken over. I'm a fifth generation Oklahoman. We're running on a safer, freer, stronger Oklahoma. We start with safer because without public safety, you don't have anything. So we're endorsed by the FOP, by 61 sheriffs. That's unprecedented. I mean, we can't think of a time in political history, period, that law enforcement has spoke uniform with one voice. This is the guy we need. And that's because they trust me. So a couple things. Number one, we have to defend law enforcement against anti-woke policies that are taking over in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, but not just those places. As I travel the state, I'm hearing it in Enid. I'm hearing it in Guthrie. I'm hearing this from police officers all the time. And the other one is pushing back and fighting these illegal Chinese, Hispanic, Mexican cartels, the Bulgarian mafia. I'm the guy they trust to kick those out of the state of Oklahoma. And we're going to go do it. I mean, we're not just talking about it. We have a plan. I passed the bill. I'm the reason the Attorney General has that authority. And they trust me to go after them. And I am the public safety candidate, period. But I will tell you, if it's okay, I'm also proud to be the conservative candidate in this race. I mean, I'm very proud of those endorsements. I'll let Aya talk about another big one I'm super proud of, but I'm going to wait. But not just that, for listeners of this podcast, I bet you all know who the ACLJ is, the American Center
Jay
for Law.
Sekulow.
Jay and Jordan Sekulow. We can only find 3 times in history Jordan Sekulow has come out and endorsed an Attorney General candidate, and he has endorsed me. And that is because I am the proven fighter. I did things like defend President Trump when they tried to kick him off the ballot in Oklahoma, and I'm going to continue to do that as Attorney General. And that's why we're so excited the campaign's taken off the way it's taken off.
So, again, one of the things that I noticed is sheriffs have a really difficult job. And it's not just the funding. Sometimes funding's part of it there. But they have all kinds of duties that most people never thought of. And they have a really big job. And one of the things I learned is let's take juveniles from Guyman. If they have to take a juvenile to a center in Veneta, just think of the time and the expense of running a juvenile over there and back. And then if you have to go get him, you've got to go again and back.
That's right.
And training for them and things. Talk about a little bit about in Watonga, the sheriff there, and a big grow operation, and what our current Attorney General tried to do to them.
You know, it was great to get to hear. Charlie got to hear these conversations firsthand. One of the things I talk about is the Attorney General is not a job for a rookie. You are running a 340 person operation as Attorney General. This is a real job. This job matters, what we do. I am deeply ingrained in law enforcement culture and understand one of the things you're talking about is taking people back and forth to Veneta. Those are those that are mentally incompetent to stand trial. And by the way, it's not about them. If an offender is mentally incompetent to stand trial, that means there's a victim out there that can't get justice. And that's what it's about. Well, you heard me talk about it a lot. I talk about the victims. Those are the people we're there to protect. And when you understand those policies and you're really ingrained in there. Now on the grow operation, one of the things that I'm going around the state talking about is it's not enough. And I'll take that Watonga issue that you heard, but just in general. It's not enough just to bust these low-level offenders. So you go bust a grow and you find 8 illegal people here from mainland China. We need to ship those people. They need to do time and ship them back.
Yep.
And by the way, other
Work
people
with ICE on them.
work with ICE. I'm the one that made illegal occupation a state level crime. That was my bill. I passed it on the floor for 3 hours. And by the way, if I'll get ripped on by the Democrats for 3 hours on the floor, imagine what I'll do for you. But the next thing we're going to do, if you're watching this, we're going to bust them, but we're also going to bust the owners of those groves. When I was in Woodward, and this is really sensitive, so I'm only going to say part of what happened. But there was an individual from Woodward that came and expressed and was showing me pictures and saying, this is the owner of these 3 illegal grows. This is the owner. This is who we need to go bust. And it was almost begging.
And that was an American citizen.
It was an American citizen. And without getting too deep, because honestly, the owner is legitimately afraid. I mean, this guy is part of an ongoing large criminal enterprise. He was so excited to hear about the law enforcement endorsements, and I made a commitment. We're going to win this race. I'm going to come back. We're going to work with your sheriffs. We're going to work with your FOP. We're not going to just bust these guys' workers. We're going to bust him.
Right.
We're going to put him in prison, and we're going to take that grow back, and we're going to put it back on the tax rolls. It's something that, at the end of the day, this job, most people don't know what the AG does. They don't understand how important that role is. And that's what we're going to bring to the table.
I believe we're down to 1,400 grow operations in Oklahoma now. You think it ought to be lower than that?
I think it ought to be 200 to 300.
Okay.
I mean, and by the way, that's being generous. Now, if you're legally doing business, I tell people, I'm a conservative. And what that means for Attorney General's quasi-judicial, what that means is I'm going to follow the law. That's a promise I make.
Even if you don't like it?
If I don't like it or not. Justice Scalia had a phrase. He said, I'm a slave to the law. And I love that. He meant whatever the law is, that's what we're going to do. And it's funny, you've got to hear my speech. I make 2 promises. I'm going to follow the law, and I'm going to be no respecter of person. Another thing I talk a lot about as Attorney General, I'm second generation from poverty. My mom and dad grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, dirt poor, in southeast and southwest Oklahoma City. I'm sick of the rich and powerful getting away with things that the rest of us don't get away from. And when I talk about South Side, that's the working part of the working part of the city. If you're legally doing business as a grow, even though I don't like it, I don't like our medical program, but it's legal. But if you're illegally doing business, I'm coming after you, and I've been coming after you for my 8 years since it passed in the legislature. I'm the one trying to pass these regulations in order to get a handle on these massive, because it's not just grows. We talk a lot about grows. It's these dispensaries. They're selling to kids. Right now, I passed the bill that gave OMMA, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Association, the ability to do secret shopper programs. They're not doing enough of them. If they don't, I'm going to do it as Attorney General. We've got to get these kids off this super high powerful, and if you're watching this isn't weeds and seeds from the 60s.
That's right.
Now, if you're legal, because I get beat up all the time, well, you're saying you're going after legal progress. No, I'm not. If you're following the law, doesn't matter if I like it or not. I'm going to defend your right to do it. It's like the First Amendment. If you have speech that I hate, with my dying breath, I will defend your right to say it. I will also look you in the eye and say you're wrong. That's not true. But that's what we bring to the table and why we're just taking off.
And I think there's another advantage here that you have as an Attorney General candidate. You served 12 years in the legislature. You were the floor leader for 8 years, the longest anyone's ever held that. So you have an ability, I believe, when you see that there's a problem with the law, I think you have an ability to go to the legislature, explain that problem, and hopefully they will produce legislation to correct that.
A lot of people don't understand why I'm still so popular among the members, especially when, let's be honest, we all know this, I'm way more conservative than the majority of the House that I served in. So how did I stay as floor leader for 8 years? Because I had their trust. I changed the office of floor leader. It will be changed forever. Before I was floor leader, you remember this, Bob, you had no idea when bills were coming to the floor.
Yeah.
There could be 400 bills available.
Surprise.
And here, you didn't even know what was next. As floor leader for the first time in state history, I instituted the daily agenda and put it on the public so everybody knew. The members love it, but not just the members, the public loves it. What's interesting, if you're watching, if you go to okhouse.gov now, you'll see a daily agenda. That's still not in the rules. That is not in the rules. They do it because I did it. because I did it
Just
even
following tradition.
following tradition.
Yep.
So I had the trust of the members, even though I frankly a lot of times pushed them in a far more conservative direction than
Yeah.
they wanted to
Yeah.
go. I had their trust because they knew I was open, I was transparent. So
Yeah.
as AG, I'm going to be able to push. I think I will have almost like a governor type honeymoon, where I'll have a lot of trust with the members to be able to get some good bills passed.
Yeah, yeah. Now you talk about fentanyl too.
A lot. Fentanyl deaths so one of the things I go around the state talking about is our need to crack down on fentanyl. Fentanyl deaths in the rest of the country are going down. In Oklahoma, they're going up. And if your podcast listeners, think about how much President Trump talks about fentanyl. The amount of fentanyl it takes to kill someone, you're talking about a minute dose.
Small.
It is incredibly small. It is an epidemic. It is an epidemic in Oklahoma because these illegal Chinese grows, they've been making opium in China longer than we've been a country. So we put it in. Right now, it's been estimated that approximately 80% of all street drugs have some type of fentanyl inside of them.
80%.
80%. So if you have a teenager right now, when we were kids, the problem was binge drinking. And it was a problem. But the thing about binge drinking is you got really sick and you learned not to do it. Right now, the problem with kids...
I was a slow learner.
Right. That's funny. So right now, the problem with these kids is experimenting with drugs. Adderall, hydrocodone, those types of things. Talk to your kids. This is something, one experiment could be a death sentence.
Yeah.
And a promise I'm making to some of the DAs is I'm going to give some of my prosecutors, and we are going to go after capital murder charges for these fentanyl dealers.
Yeah.
I mean, capital murder. I've met with nobody has traveled the state more than me. If you've watched on my Facebook, on my X, I mean, we are putting the shoe leather into this campaign.
You've been to almost every county, haven't
We
you?
think we've been to every county but 3. We're
Okay.
going back, and we never made a 77 county promise. It's just what happened. Like we're working our tail off. I've spoken to, at the end of next week, I will have spoken to every Republican women's club in the state and every OK2A club in the state. We are working, and then tons of state GOPs, county GOPs. What we are talking about on this fentanyl stuff, I met with a group of parents in Tulsa. They're kids who died of fentanyl. And I hate to get a downer, but this is a serious topic. About half of those kids were what I would call traditional drug addicts. They fell into drug addiction.
Yep.
They eventually got heroin or something else laced with
They kept
fentanyl and
going,
died.
sure.
Kept going. About half of them were kids that just experimented at a party with what they thought a hydrocodone was, or they thought an Adderall was. I'm not excusing it.
Maybe the first time used.
Yes, but it shouldn't be a death sentence. And that's why my position is so important. You need somebody that is willing to go to war over these. And again,
And you need
done
to
it.
use your bully pulpit to urge parents to have talks with their children. Tell them about how dangerous this is.
I talk about it all the time. I was somewhere and I said, you need to talk to your kids about this. And someone kind of got incredulous and was like, well, my kids would never do that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're listening, I am married to my high school sweetheart. Those of you that know Kristen, love of my life. We graduated from Christian Heritage. We homeschooled 3 kids. I'm using we, the royal we. Kristen did most of it. Until they went to Christian Heritage. I'm a Southern Baptist deacon, and my kids all know the Lord. And if you think it can't be your kids, you're wrong. You're wrong. It is so easy for any one of us to fall into a bad spot. And that's why I use it. The state is not who's going to save your children. The family unit.
All right, Representative Echols, I'd like to take you a different direction.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm glad we covered this whole, the idea of the private sector, what's going on illegally, and needs to be reined back in within the bounds of law. That's all fitting. I want to go to the public sector now and ask questions. An area I'm just not familiar enough with in terms of the Office of the Attorney General and expose some of my ignorance, and I'm hoping you can fix me.
Yeah.
That's the idea of the auditor can only go so far unless they are invited in or asked to go investigate an agency or whatever the department might be. And as I understand it, the Attorney General has the authority to, initiate that.
That's
to
right.
basically make it possible. And We just got through having a conversation with Representative Humphrey and the whole idea of the inverted pyramid.
On Monday.
The tremendous amount of waste. Yeah, the previous show on Monday. Tremendous amount of waste. And what's going on, abuse of contractors. And it's just the ever-growing cost of government and all that inevitably, it just organically grows and gets worse and worse.
That's right.
And I'm wondering, as the AG, what can you do to help facilitate that so we can help to reduce that cost and waste? Just like you're bringing out in the private sector, or the private sector. What can be done in the public?
So I love this question, and I'm going to make some promises on this podcast while we're doing it.
I'm going to write down promises.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Politicians promise.
That's right. And I'm going to give you some background on why you can trust me to do it. So Melissa Capps is going to be our new auditor. She ran with that's who it is. I have already been talking to her. We are going to work hand in glove. It will be an unprecedented relationship between me and her. Not only will she have someone she can count on when she wants an audit, I'm going to go request it because I'll have that authority to do it. Mm-hmm. But number two, our plan is to, and by the way, I'm not inferring an endorsement in any way, shape, or form on this. But what I'm going to do with that, it's her because she's now the auditor. What I'm going to do is work hand in glove with her to get more indictments off these audits. Let's take let's take the Tulsa Public School audit. I counted a minimum, in my mind, 3 felonies that I saw in there. There could be a grand jury about that right now because that's private. So I want to be clear. I'm not saying there's not. But I'm going to be working hand in glove with the auditor, and we're going to hold these people accountable. And why should you believe me on that? What's the point? Because I'm the one that created LOFT, the Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency. It took me 3 years to do it. I mean, this didn't just happen. 3 years, and it was because of my frustration with the waste, fraud, and abuse that I see inside state government. Mm-hmm. I'm the only candidate in this race that's ever started a business with their own risk. Whether it's the Democrat or my Republican challenger, none of them have ever been in the private sector where it's their name on the line, their money on the line. So when we talk about those regulations and abusive of contractors, I know what we're talking about. So when we look at LOFT, when I sat on LOFT, and I can't comment on it now, but when I sat on LOFT, this was the one that discovered things like the Swadley scandal, where politically connected insiders, and by the way, not just that though, but Oklahoma broke the law when tourism gave a no-bid contract that they never should have given because they were pressured into it. Mm-hmm. We discovered the P-card scandal. You're a county commissioner. Mm-hmm. Where state agencies were violating the Competitive Bid Act. Mm-hmm. LOFT found those things. What I'm saying is send the bulldog to the Attorney General's office. Mm-hmm. I'm going to indict these people. Mm-hmm. We are going to hold people accountable, the rich and the powerful, because Oklahoma has a problem, and I've been going around the state talking about this. Those rich and powerful that are politically connected are getting away with things that the rest of us don't get away with, and they have had a safe haven inside state government. And under me, there will be no safe haven. I was the bulldog. Mental health, Department of Mental Health, which we all know paid for a hip hop version of the Nutcracker. What is that? Your taxpayer dollars paid for that. Mm-hmm. I was grilling the director of the Department of Mental Health because they promised us they were going to sell Griffin down in Norman in order to build a new Griffin in Oklahoma City, OKC. Because we talk about mental health, we did something about it. They hadn't put it on the market. I was so proud because a local online publication wrote in their publication about me grilling the Department of Mental Health that every new director deserves to be grilled by me at least once. I don't know that he meant that as a compliment, but I framed it. I took it as a great compliment. I was the one, and all these LOFT hearings are online. If I was quiet in a LOFT hearing, your hearing's going pretty good. You're doing things right, things are looking good. When I started asking questions, and because I'm a litigator, I'm a lawyer, I've tried cases, that they eventually realized I was walking them. It's because I sniffed out some corruption.
Sure.
That's what we need. We need someone unbeholden to the big business interests, especially, frankly, the downtown Tulsa and Oklahoma City interests, because this state is bigger than Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
I call it the tall building crowd.
Building crowd. Sometimes I call it the Hills, Nichols and Southern. I mean, whatever you want to call it. But I'm not saying everybody there is bad. Of course, you can't make that generalization. That's not true. No different than I think every successful entrepreneur is bad. I'm a successful entrepreneur and a successful lawyer. But we need someone that has a proven track record of waiting out these abuses and vetting them out and getting rid of them. And that's what I'm going to do.
Well, and we need to make examples of these people, and
Yes.
that's the only way to stop it, is if they know that someone's going to have a gate there to catch them, and right now the gates are wide open.
Yeah.
You're right on. You're right on.
Let's talk about two specific areas in the the public sector that constantly come up. One is DHS, and the other one is education, and they seem to be one of the problems. They seem to enjoy a lack of true auditing. Okay, can you speak to those two departments?
Yes, on DHS, I'm running for Attorney General, and I get asked about DHS. That's one of my number one topics.
Good.
So all of you that have heard me will know I always give the same answer. We need to burn DHS to the ground.
Start over.
Like a phoenix and rise back up from the ashes.
Yeah.
There is no fixing DHS.
Absolutely.
As conservatives, government can get too big in an agency. The same agency takes care of children, the elderly, and the poor. They have nothing in common. Nothing in common. DHS has become this behemoth that those of us like me have constantly tried. I've run bills. I've tried to get a hold of it.
They're too strong.
They're too strong, Aya. They have a structural problem, and that's what we need to do with DHS. We need to do the same thing with the Department of Mental Health, by the way.
That would take legislature to do that, wouldn't it?
It would, and I've been using my bully pulpit to talk about it.
But again, that's where the trust issue comes in.
That's right.
But it can be done. You can use the bully pulpit. Education?
So with education, we need to be teaching. We need to root out liberal indoctrination, and we need it. Number one. Number two, we need to be focused on reading, writing, math, and science. I mean,
Yeah, but okay, in those areas,
It's a
what
novel
can
idea.
yeah.
See, you're now speaking to curriculum, really.
That's right.
Essentially, use that as a broad term. How can an AG have an impact on that?
Yeah, so here's how the AG, the general question was education, but here's what the
Right.
AG can do in education. So specifically, I'm not a panderer, so not a ton. I don't want to tell you that the AG is the position that could fix education. If I was running for governor, I would be talking about education. That'd be my number one issue.
Right.
But here's what the AG can do. Number one, and people, this really going to make some people mad. We have an epidemic with teachers who abuse kids moving from one school to another.
That's right.
It is an epidemic, and we have to do something about it. And the AG is uniquely situated to protect children by working with people like Sherry Conley and some others to make sure that we have prosecutions on those who would abuse our children. The vast
The teachers moved one school to
Yes.
another.
Yeah.
Transferring their
They
position.
get in trouble at one school,
and they
get
move from one
fired,
to another.
and they just go to another one
That's
and
what
get a job
preachers do,
somewhere
too.
else.
It is not an attack on educators. My wife has her elementary education degree. I mean, that's
Right.
But that is something the AG can do to root out that trust. The other thing we need to do on education, which we could do a lot on the higher ed side, the governor has made some good orders, and the legislature has passed good executive orders. The legislature has some good bills on anti-DEI initiatives. It is still rampant inside higher ed. The University of Oklahoma just put out a campus-wide email. From a professor who, by the way, is head of their DEI initiative. She has some weird title. To invite every student on how to take the abortion pill, and talked about in this campus-wide email how it was safe and effective. All of which, by the way, the FDA. I'm 100% pro-life. I'm the one that outlawed surgical abortions. I tried to outlaw pill abortions 3 times off the state floor. The Senate wouldn't hear it. But even that, let's say you just take the FDA's perspective. That was garbage. That's not true. The FDA says these pills are not effective except for the first 8 weeks, and they're not approved for that. We've got the University of Oklahoma sending out a campus-wide email, and I'm an OU grad. I love OU. I just want to stop the indoctrination. Those are some things the Attorney General is over that can do something about it.
All right, okay, that fits. Any other areas besides these two?
Well,
Where do you see some
I've got
abuse?
another one on education here
Ask
I want
away.
to bring up. So we had a conference at Liberty Church, Yukon,
great church.
several weeks back. 3 or 4 months back. And there were 8 speakers, and 2 were from Alliance Defending Freedom. And we were trying to come up with the right verbiage to create a law, and by the way, it's passed the Senate, it's on the way to the House right now.
Good.
Rather than pornography, which pornography is according to community
Definition.
standards, and you can never define that, so you can never get a prosecution on pornography. So
That's
the
real.
term that we came up with is sexually explicit.
Oh, that's good.
And so anyway, that's Warren Hamilton that's running that bill, and I think it's maybe passed the House now. I'm not 100% sure. But what we have in Oklahoma is in our government schools, we have a plethora of books. And these books, they're not photographs, they're drawings. But they are incredibly suggestive. And I'm talking about all types of sexual functions and things like that. I know our here in Guthrie, the principal of the high school here attends our church. He plays up in our band, and I went to him to talk about it, and he says, "Yeah, I have those books in my office." He pulled them out of the library and put them in his office.
Good for him.
I take my hat off to him for that.
Sure.
But, and I've got to talk, and I just talked briefly with one school board member, gave him some evidence of this, and I just don't want to spend the money on the books to start with. Why would we want to have them, and we haven't dealt with the junior high yet. And I have a list of all the books, and there's about 40 of them in our high school library, and if I'm telling you, we couldn't show on here some of the drawings on here. It is really, really evil. Why would we subject our children to that?
It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. One of the strategies of the communists to take over America is to demoralize America. Well, that doesn't mean make you sad about what's going on. It's to destroy the moral base, the moral fabric of America.
Yeah, you just gave the reason, Charlie.
Yeah, so that's the reason right there. And of course, we have such communist influence, and particularly in our teachers' union. I used to tell people, if you want to read just one book to understand what has happened to American education, where it went from one of the finest in the world in the early 1800s to where it is today, it was when the progressives took over the Teachers Association, like the NEA, made a union out of it, and in 1983, this one book that I would recommend you read would be NEA, Trojan Horse in American Education by Sam Blumenfeld. And at the time, Mary Hartwood Futrell was the president of the NEA at that time. And there's a quote from her in this book. Here's the quote. Now, this is the president of the largest teachers union in America. And here's the quote. "Education is on the back burner to us. We are walking the halls of Congress to reshape America." That's
right.
And I would even suggest that the OEA, education is on the back burner to them. They're walking the halls of the Marble Pork Pen at 23rd and Lincoln to reshape the state of Oklahoma and participate in reshaping America.
And they're having
we've got serious problems in our government schools, and it will be very difficult to root those problems out.
It will be, and that's one of the reasons why, again, this is one of the reasons why I got into politics. One of the things you're going to hear about me in this regard is my opponents bashing me as a career politician. I did serve 12 years in the Oklahoma legislature, and I'm really proud of the service. I'm proud of what I did. The idea that that was a career is absolutely ridiculous. A career is when you work for, say, a liberal senator, John Warner from Virginia, or you get paid $170,000 while you run for office for the Secretary of Energy. It's not a part-time legislator that continues their private sector
Would
service.
you be talking about your opponent here?
A little bit. Yes, I am, on both regards. To be clear, I would not work for Senator Warner. But
one of the most liberal Republican senators ever
endorsed
to
Kamala
serve.
Harris and Hillary Clinton against Trump, voted for the Brady bill, pro-choice. I just wouldn't do it. I mean, that's not something I would be. But even more so, you have to have those people with Oklahoma values that are they're unafraid to stand up, because there are some really powerful people that are against it. And this is why, for me, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, how cool it was for me to be on this podcast. I mean, Charlie and Bob know. I mean, Charlie's a hero of mine, the founder of Oak Pack. You both did that when it was at its just biggest strength. And I need to say this on the podcast because I've said it to you. I tell everyone calling me running for office, if you can only go to one event in the state, go to Logan County, where Aya holds her OK2A events. There are people that want to engage in culture. We were talking about this beforehand. There are people that are willing to be those fighters and stand up to do it. And we need that. And that doesn't mean not as a career, but that's not what it was for me. Again, I've founded 7 different healthcare companies, 3 different construction companies, had a very successful law practice. This is how I give back. This is how God has called me. And ladies and gentlemen, if God releases me, I will be at home with my wife that I adore and my 3 incredible children, 2 of which are now married off, or one's about to be married off, but my daughter's still at home. I mean, that's why it matters, Charlie.
Yep.
It seems like Charlie and I have walked over and dominated too much, especially Charlie, not so much me. Just so you know. Do you have questions or thoughts?
Well, Representative Echols, I think out of the 3 of us, I bring a little bit more of the human aspect, just because Charlie knows so many people and he's so knowledgeable, and Bob has worked so hard within the Capitol, and I'm sort of the people's person.
I agree.
And I go back to the time that I really got to know you. And we were facing a difficult situation, and you were friends with everyone involved, and you were asked to come in and chair a meeting for us. And I remember that you had called to talk to me about this, and I did not know you personally.
Yeah.
And I asked you one favor, and that favor was that I just wanted you to be fair.
Yeah.
And that was all I asked. And I walked into that situation not expecting that. And it was incredible the way that you handled the situation. It was extremely fair. And I feel like the aftermath of that we were all able to move on in the correct direction, everyone involved. And so you earned my respect in such a huge way during that time. And so the whole trust issue that we were talking about is very important to me. Another issue is that although the death certificate of my mother says that she passed from pneumonia, she had suffered a drug overdose. And I have never touched, unlike Mr. Charlie here, I've never touched alcohol, drugs, anything like that, because I didn't want to leave my child an orphan. And so that is another very important thing to me. And the fact that Oklahoma, the most conservative, reddest state in the nation, and that's scary, the condition that we're in with education, with drugs, with all of the things that we've talked about. And I feel like that we really need champions, just like the 2 people that have graciously brought me onto the podcast with them. We need champions who are going to fight for our children. If we aren't saving our children, we're done.
Amen.
Because Charlie, Bob,
Amen.
you, me, we don't need saved.
Amen.
It's our children that need saved. And so I appreciate the fact, people have said to me, because I was a single mom who brought my daughter up in private schools. I couldn't afford that. But I had to make that sacrifice because it was so important to save our children, and the public school system is not doing that. And so it's important to me that while I feel like our public schools are a necessity right now, Charlie and I have had discussions about this because where do our children go if we don't have them? We have to bring that system up. And the third thing that I really wanted to bring out before, everyone else takes over again, is that you have been so easy to communicate with. I have called another person in this race, did not want to return my calls, and the way that I could meet him was to donate the maximum amount. That's how I could meet. And then when we did speak, it was like, well, I have a great company, and if this doesn't work out, I go right back to my great law firm. Now, I'm a competitor. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to win it. Like Charlie said, he's competitive. And so I really like your spirit, the work that you've done, the places that you've been, which is everywhere. And so before I give up my podium here, those are the things that I want to say. And I've really appreciated getting to know you over the past, couple of years or so. So thank you for everything you've done.
Well, that you are so incredibly kind. It's weird. The thank yous almost make me feel uncomfortable. I don't know, they should or shouldn't, because that's not why I do it. But our relationship is really important to me. It's been real special, and I appreciate you sharing about your mom. And you obviously, we have been talking about what's happened with your mom and your dad. You know, I share that because I lost my mom. I love people. I mean, that's one of the things that I talk about all the time. I do this because I love this state, because I want this state to be better, and because God's put me in a position where I could, where I feel called to do that. And I've been honored to be the person throughout, especially when we talk about that has been viewed as fair, that is viewed as is going to be, whether in that case it was running the Logan County GOP. A lot of activists know me for when I ran the state convention. Man, the state convention is like, you're like a lion tamer hoping the lions don't realize there are no bullets in the gun. like there is no, but that's why in this race, I hope that sincerity comes across. And I think why, and I was going to let you talk about it, the conservatives have really rallied behind me with a lot of my endorsements.
And I wanted to just correct, that was my biological mother. I know I just lost my mom. Yeah. Amazing lady, perfect lady that I just lost. I also had been given some instructions. The Oklahoma Second Amendment Association has like a footprint of 70,000 members in the state, and then our paid due members are a little lower. But my boss messaged me. I know that on the endorsement from the president of the board, he said that you have demonstrated such dedication to the defense of our Constitution and was the author of the 2019 bill became known as the constitutional carry.
Yeah.
And floor leader, of course, of the House of Representatives, worked with OK2A. And then on the endorsement we had, in red letters, Don Spencer made sure, Jon Echols, author of Constitutional Carry, will continue to defend your rights as Attorney General. And we were just talking last night about the different things that our state is facing. And without constitutional carry or without Second Amendment rights, we lose all of that.
Yeah.
All the things that are going on in Britain right now with the Muslims, when we come to those attacks, when they gain power like they have around the country, and we don't have our Second Amendment rights, it's over for Americans. Yeah. And the fact that you have lined up behind Second Amendment and then led the way in the legislature, Oklahoma is extremely appreciative for the work you've done for Second Amendment.
And there are three big things I'd love to talk about.
Yeah.
Or you want to go?
Well, I'm watching the clock for you here.
I'm okay. I want to talk.
Okay, go ahead.
They can wait. There are three big things I want to talk about on that. Like, when I am so proud to be the first statewide candidate to be endorsed by OK2A. And what I would want people to know about me is when they elect me, they're electing a proven fighter. Constitutional carry does not happen without me and OK2A. We pass that against all types of fighting from the tall building crowd. When you're talking about abortion, I'm the one that passed the bill that made surgical abortion a crime inside the state of Oklahoma. And we should outlaw pill abortion. I did that 3 times off the floor. But I don't just talk about it, I lived it. When the last abortion clinic in the state of Oklahoma went out of business, the abortion clinic that I prayed at as a young man, I bought that building. And that building is now a longevity clinic, a place of hope and of love and of care, what Satan meant for destruction and evil and wickedness. And when we talk about standing up against illegal immigration, if it wasn't for me and OK2A, we would be giving illegal immigration driver's licenses right now. It passed the Senate, passed the House, it died in my floor leader's office. I'm the one that is willing to stand up and take these incredibly hard stands, because I can take the heat. I can take the lies that will be thrown against me, and they were, and they're going to be even more so. And I'm proud to campaign on my record, which is why we've been endorsed by OK2A, Make Oklahoma Healthy Again, certified by
Liza Greaves.
Liza Greaves. The conservative organizations have been behind me, and the promise I make is I won't let you down. CPAC, the largest conservative organization in the country, CPAC, Jordan Sekulow. It's that track record, and I will continue to be that person. And as your next Attorney General, I will be just as accessible, that trusted conservative voice.
Is there a way to reach out? How do you get a website?
So to learn more about what we're doing, go to jonechols.com. You can email me directly, jonechols@gmail.com. Listen, I put my cell phone on everything. It's 405-641-1854. It's the same
but
cell
once
phone.
you're elected, you'll get rid of that cell phone.
Not a chance. That has been the same. I've been floor leader for 8 years and had the same cell phone every time. I've given it out on network TV. One of the things I found is when you're accessible, people don't tend to abuse it.
Yeah.
I mean, they understand what we're doing. Check out our Facebook page, Jon Echols for AG, our X, Team Echols for AG, our Instagram. No one is doing more to cover this state than me. If you want a fifth generation Oklahoman, proven conservative that is going to be committed to the movement and is one of you, we need your vote. And if 70,000 OK2A members go out and vote, this race is over.
Yeah. One other thing here real quick. I was very impressed with it. Probably the second wealthiest man in the state of Oklahoma maxed out to you online, and someone maybe that works for him. What did you do with that money they sent you?
I turned it back. One of the benefits you have in me is, as a small business owner, I can be completely and totally independent. I don't need this job. Again, my opponent's calling me a career politician. I'm going to be as direct as I know. He knows he's lying. Like, he knows he's lying. This is what his out-of-state Virginia consultants tell him to do.
Right.
Everybody knows with my businesses and my law practice, I do this to give back. So instead of campaigning on their own merits, they're attacking me. I, on the other hand, am going to talk about me, and I'm going to continue to be your conservative voice. The other commitment is I'm going to be back on here.
Yeah.
The reason they can trust me is I was running these conventions before I was running for statewide office. I was here. I'm not somebody that just found rural Oklahoma because they decided they want to run for a statewide office. I'm going to continue to be one of you, and we are going to run a positive campaign on who we are.
John, thank you for coming, and please promise this one thing.
Yes, sir.
After you're Attorney General, and you've been there for a while, come back on here and give us an update of some of the things that you're doing to make Oklahoma a much better
It's a promise.
place.
We're going to do it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, my
I
friend.
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Take care, all.